ICC rejects Duterte's jurisdiction challenge. The International Criminal Court, ICC, has rejected former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte's challenge regarding the court's jurisdiction. The ICC pretrial chamber I decision, issued October 23, 2025, affirms the court's authority to continue the case against the former president for alleged crimes against humanity. The chamber finds that the court can exercise its jurisdiction in the present case over the crimes alleged against Mr. Duterte that were committed on the territory of the Philippines while it was a state party, the chamber said in its ruling. In a 32-page decision, the pretrial chamber 1 also turned down the defense's request to postpone the issuance of decision while waiting for the determination of Duterte's ability to participate in the pretrial proceedings. The court's ruling means the case will proceed at The Hague. Duterte's defense attorney Nicholas Kaufman earlier argued that the preconditions for the exercise of jurisdiction in the Philippines were not met at the time the pretrial chamber authorized the opening of an investigation back in 2021. But the chamber said that the then prosecutor announced that she was opening an investigation into the Philippine situation on February 8, 2018 and analyzed crimes allegedly committed in this state party since at least July 1, 2016, in the context of Duterte's war on drugs campaign. A few weeks later, the Duterte administration submitted a written notification of withdrawal from the statute on March 17, 2018, citing the government's principled stand against those who politicize and weaponize human rights, even as its independent and well-functioning agencies exercise jurisdiction over complaints and concerns arising from its efforts to protect its people. Based upon the above facts, the chamber considers that there is a direct relationship between the prosecutor's announcement of the opening of the preliminary examination and the decision of the Philippines to withdraw from the statute, said the court. International Criminal Court judges reject jurisdiction challenge in Duterte case. Judges of the International Criminal Court, ICC, affirmed the court's jurisdiction in the crime against humanity case against former President Rodrigo Duterte. In a ruling dated October 23, ICC pretrial chamber I judges Iulia Antoinella Motoc, Rain Adelaide Sophie Alapinigansu, and Maria del Socorro Flores Liera rejected the defense's argument that the ICC cannot exercise jurisdiction over the case because the investigation into the war on drugs in the Philippines was only authorized in September 2021, 2 years after the country's effective withdrawal from the Rome Statute. The jurisdictional regime set out in Part 2 of the statute continues to apply to this case as if the Philippines were still a party to the statute, so as to ensure that, pursuant to Article 127(2) of the statute, the withdrawal of the Philippines from the statute shall not prejudice in any way the continued consideration of any matter which was already under consideration by the court prior to the date on which the withdrawal became effective, it read. The judges ruled that no provision in the statute imposes any time limit on the ICC's ability to exercise jurisdiction over crimes committed during the period when the state was a party to the statute. They pointed out that Article 127(2) of the Rome Statute makes specific provision for the court to be able to exercise its jurisdiction if the matter concerned was already under consideration by the court prior to the withdrawal of a state becoming effective. Article 127(2) of the statute thereby appropriately balances the right of a state to withdraw from the statute and the risk of a state using its right to withdraw to shield persons from the jurisdiction of the court, the decision read. It also finds that the prosecution's preliminary examination, opened in February 2018 before the Philippines deposited its written notification of withdrawal from the statute, is sufficient for the case to move forward. Duterte's camp earlier submitted that a preliminary examination is not a matter under consideration, saying it is not a formal procedural phase, but rather one that is internal, informal, and non-justiciable. The judges argued that the words "any matter" is broad and not limited to a specific phase of the proceedings, and that the preliminary examination falls within the phrase "any matter which was already under consideration." The ruling, meanwhile, does not address the Duterte camp's motion to stop the proceedings on the basis that the former chief executive is unfit to stand trial. Khan disqualification has no impact on Duterte case, ICC. The disqualification of Chief Prosecutor, Karim Khan, on the case of former President Rodrigo Duterte before the International Criminal Court, ICC, has no impact on the ongoing probe, the latter's spokesperson said Wednesday night. This disqualification has no impact on the ongoing case against Mr. Duterte, ICC spokesperson Fadi El Abdullah said in a statement sent to reporters. The work of the Office of the Prosecutor on the situation related to the Philippines is led by Deputy Prosecutor May Mandiay Nyang, he added. A court document dated October 15 confirmed that the ICC Appeals Chamber has disqualified Khan over his involvement, prior to taking office, in the submission of certain information related to Duterte's alleged crimes in the Philippines. The said information, also known as Article 15 communication, was submitted on June 29, 2018, to the former prosecutor Fatou Bensouda. Abdullah clarified that the appeals chamber did not consider that actual bias on the part of the prosecutor had been demonstrated in the defense's request. However, it concluded that a number of factors may give rise to an objectively reasonable appearance of bias in the eyes of a reasonable observer, such that they would conclude that the prosecutor could be expected to have formed an opinion on the case against Mr. Duterte during his involvement in the Article 15 communication that, objectively, could adversely affect his required impartiality, he said. In a separate statement, the ICC Office of the Prosecutor said its independent and impartial investigation into alleged Rome Statute crimes in relation to the situation in the Philippines is ongoing. It added that the investigative and prosecutorial activities over the case, including the application for the warrant of arrest, are led by a multidisciplinary team under Nyang's supervision. The office has been able to advance the case against Mr. Duterte solely on the strength of independently gathered evidence and information collected from a wide range of sources, including interviews with witnesses, information from states, international partners, and civil society, as well as publicly available information, it said. The victims and survivors in the Philippines situation deserve justice and accountability. The office's activities in this case will continue, contributing to ensuring that justice is pursued impartially and independently, it added. SWS, most Filipinos want FPRRD held accountable as ICC junks release. Half of Filipinos believe former President Rodrigo Duterte should be held accountable for the deaths linked to his administration's war on drugs, according to the latest Social Weather Station's, SWS, survey. Conducted from September 24 to 30, 2025, the survey interviewed 1,500 adults nationwide and has a plus or minus 3% margin of error. Results showed that while 50% of respondents agreed Duterte should be made accountable, 32% of those surveyed disagreed. Around 15% were undecided, and 4% gave no response. The Visayas recorded the highest support for accountability at 54%, followed by Metro Manila, 53%, Balance Luzon, 52%, and Mindanao, 39%. The survey results were released following the ruling of the International Criminal Court, ICC, denying Duterte's request for interim release. In its decision, the ICC said Duterte's continued detention was necessary to ensure his appearance at trial, prevent him from obstructing the investigation or the proceedings, and to stop potential commission of further crimes. Duterte welfare check part of routine for Filipinos in distress. Malacanang on Monday clarified that the welfare check conducted on former President Rodrigo Duterte, who is currently detained at the International Criminal Court, ICC, facility, is part of the Philippine government's routine protocol for Filipinos in distress. Palace press officer Claire Castro said the visit by Philippine officials was consistent with the long-standing procedures carried out by the Department of Foreign Affairs, DFA, and other government agencies, when a Filipino abroad requires assistance, particularly in matters concerning health and well-being. Malamang dahil nakazap naman panila ang Pangulo, ang dating Pangulo, sa ating pagkakalam. At ang sabi pa rin naman ng DFA ay napay routine kapag po ang isang Pilipino in distress at kinakailangan ng tulong especially kapag patungkol pa sa kaniyang. It's likely that they were able to speak with the president, the former president, to our knowledge. And the DFA said that is a routine procedure whenever a Filipino is in distress and in need of assistance, especially when it concerns their health condition, Castro said. Talaga pang pinupuntahan ng MWO, Migrant Workers Office, or ang aiding MGA consular officials para pamalaman kung ano ang kinahihinatnan or kalagayan ng aiding MGA kababayan. Our MWO or consular officials make these visits to check on the status and well-being of our fellow Filipinos. Castro said the Philippine government will not issue any further updates regarding Duterte's health, stressing that it is considered a private matter that should not be made public. She also cited the recent assurance from Duterte's former wife, Elizabeth Zimmerman, that he is very well and very alive. So, Ian Langpoang Nikita Panaytan, that's the only information we have received so far, Castro said. The DFA on September 24 said the welfare check on Duterte is no different from what the DFA does for other Filipino citizens who are in detention abroad. The ICC prosecutor has formally charged Duterte with crimes against humanity over the deaths of 78 individuals during the anti-illegal drugs campaign he initiated when he was Davao City mayor and during his presidency. Former Senator Antonio Sonny Trillanes IV declared he is prepared to attend any Senate inquiry into reports that he was tapped by the government to conduct a welfare check on detained former President Rodrigo Duterte at the International Criminal Court, ICC, in The Hague. Game AKO Dian, Trillanes said, brushing aside speculation about his supposed visit. He added that the matter could easily be verified. Mas madali kung tinunjan na lang nila mismo si digong kung bimisita na ako sa kanya o hindi. Anyway, si Sarah can talk to him over the phone anytime. The remarks came after Senator Robin Padilla filed Senate Resolution No. 141 on September 30, urging the chamber to investigate whether Trillanes' alleged presence at the ICC det.
Thank you for viewing. Click subscribe for me to create new content.